guys, it's Peacemaker, and I'm going to show you what parts you can get for $550 to build a really good gaming PC. First, we're going to start out with the case. The case that I chose was the NZXT Source 210. And why did I pick this case? I picked this because it's good for a budget gaming PC, and it also supports cable managing, so you won't have to worry about all those cables from your power supply and everything else. Next up on the list, we have the motherboard. The motherboard that I chose was a Gigabyte H61M HD2 LGA 1155 Micro ATX motherboard. This is a good motherboard because it's small, but it gives you a lot of room to work in your case for maybe, different video cards to experiment with. It is a LGA 1155 Intel socket motherboard, so if you do decide to upgrade, this motherboard will basically let you, as long as you get the LGA 1155 processor. So that's why I chose this board, and it's affordable, and that will set you back around 50 bucks. Now for our processor, the processor I chose was an Intel Pentium G630 dual core processor. This processor is very, very, very good for cheap PCs. I chose this over the AMD Athlon only because it uses a socket that better Intel CPUs use, so if you do decide to upgrade eventually, which is an option, you do have the option to. As with the AMDs, I believe that the AMD Athlon is an AM3 CPU, so you might not be able to use that in different kinds of boards, but since this is an LGA 1155, if you get another processor with the same socket, you can upgrade. It is rather fast. It's not that fast compared to some CPUs. It's only 2.7 gigahertz, but it's good for the cost. It'll get the job done, and you'll still be able to run most games on it, and that'll cost you about 68 bucks. Now what you guys really wanted to hear is the video card. The video card I chose was the MSI Radeon HD 7770 GHz edition, and I chose this card because it was only $100, and if you look around at some other 7770 cards, they're about like 110, 120, and this is the cheapest one. It's an MSI, so it's good. MSI is really good at making cards. I heard a lot of good things about them. I've never used one, but I don't know. I hear they're pretty good. It's fast. It's 1000 megahertz exactly because it's the gigahertz edition, and it's probably the best GPU for the cost for a budget game build, and you really can't go wrong with that. And for the memory, I decided to go with 8 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR3 at 1600 megahertz. You're getting 2 sticks of 4, and that's just enough to fit our motherboard, and that's really all you'll need. You really won't even need 8. You might only need 4. So if you only want 4, you could just pop one in and sell the other one for like 30 bucks. But I don't know, if you want 8, go ahead and use it. But this is the kind of the best RAM as it gets. It's like no one really goes for anything else other than Corsair Vengeance. I don't know why, but a lot of people seem to like it, and I think if you decide to go with this PC build, I think you will too. The power supply that I chose is Corsair CX430. This is a great starter PSU if you decide to, if this is your first gaming PC build. This will last you a long time. It's definitely enough wattage for this build, so you really don't need any more than 300 really. If you can find something cheaper, then I'd recommend with that, but if you really want something you can rely on, take the Corsair CX430. It's only $40. For the boot drive, we're going to go with an ADATA XPG SX900 SSD. This is your boot drive. It's not for storing games because it's only 64 gigabytes. If you have the money you want to spend on like a 600 gigabyte SSD, by all means go ahead and do it. But in this case, it only has 64 gigs, so I just recommend installing your operating system and then just putting nothing else on there. You're going to want to manage that space very, very carefully, because if you run out of space on that, it's just not going to be good, and you don't want to go through a disk cleaning, especially on an $80 SSD. But this is only going to be for your boot drive, so you can have a fast system start. And last but definitely not least, we have our hard drive for storing our games. We decided to go with a Western Digital Blue 1TB 7200 RPM hard drive. This is really good because it's pretty modern. It's a SATA 3 6 gigabytes a second. Set you back for $65, which should be fine. 1 terabyte's enough space. You can always buy more space whenever you need to. They're not very hard. They're not very hard to install. It's very simple to get more space. I've done it. and it's super easy. But this is a good hard drive to start you off for your games. So yeah, that's it. You don't want to install your OS on that drive either, also because obviously it's not going to boot fast. But that is it. That is it, guys. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helped you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.